let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here, a celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We're gonna celebrate your party with you. Come on now. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. We're gonna celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost.
Join us in the heart of personal transformation with Level Up Circle TV, your exclusive gateway to unlocking your inner potential and achieving extraordinary results. This TV show is your secret weapon for personal and professional development, packed with valuable insights, expert advice, and real-life success stories. Are you ready to take the leap and transform your life? Don't just watch, participate. Tune in, take notes, and then take action. The journey to your greatest self starts here. So, get inspired, get motivated, and get ready to level up. Join us and let's embark on this transformative adventure together. Click that remote and let's start making your dreams a reality. I'm screaming. You can't see me. You can't see me. I'm so excited, guys. Just to announce to you guys, for those of you who are watching the TV, we have TV shows on Thursdays and Sundays. And the TV show, actually in April, I believe, our TV network is expanding us all the way to LG and Samsung. So for all the LG users and Samsung users, we're finally reaching you guys, finally. So this is really exciting for us. And then today's show, are you guys ready? I'm so excited. Welcome to Thursday show, guys. Welcome to Level Up TV. And guess what? I have an amazing team today. I'm just gonna bring them up like right away. Who do we have this morning? We have Scott Raven. Woo-hoo.
Hello, how are you?
Good. And then who do we have? Introduce.
Yeah.
I love progress. I already told you. Stephen will be right back. He's on break. He will be right here. So Stephen is going to be back and he will be next to Jessica. But first, we're going to talk about Scott. Scott, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what project are you working on right now?
Absolutely. So, Hi, everybody. I'm Scott. I live just outside of Atlanta with my beautiful wife and my two kids, and I'm on a mission. I am on a mission to help people unleash their genius and find success on their terms. And the reason that I'm on this mission is because of my life story that I've had occur to me and all the lessons that I have learned from it. Just to give you a sample of what that is, I was a corporate executive here in Atlanta up through 2017 when my position was eliminated and reduction in force. And my identity had been so intertwined with my job that when I was stripped of that title, I was a mere shadow of the man I once was. I fell into a deep depression fueled by alcoholism, spurring towards rock bottom. And ultimately, everything came to a head just before Christmas of 2017. I picked up my kids. I had severe pains in my chest, head, and back. I knew something wasn't right. I pulled my wife aside. I said I needed to go to the ER. And sure enough, when I got to the ER, my blood pressure was 180 over 110. And in the flurry of the test that finished, found that I just had severe hypertension, but fear gripped me because I was watching my 7-year-old son. He didn't know any better. I had to think to myself, what if these were my final moments with him? What words of love or guidance would I leave my son with? And it was that chilling wake up call that's really spurred me in terms of my mission since and why I do what I do, particularly for men, because recent study, 1 out of 6 men indicated they have no true friends in this world. That's something that has to stop. So, CJ, that's what I do.
Wow, what a story. Actually, when you shared that story to me, I was kind of crying because A, it sounds so lonely, and B, the realization that you're not alone. You're not the one person that, you're not the only one person who feels like that. Imagine millions of people, but then they suffer alone. Because honestly, no offense to you and Steven, men, you guys, especially, I think the older generation, our generation is, you have to be masculine. You cannot be weak. You cannot cry. You cannot show emotions, right? Even if your freaking life is falling apart, I'm the man of the house. This is going to happen, right? And it doesn't have to be that way, right? And for you to actually be out there, and I know it's uncomfortable saying those things, right? It's very uncomfortable until you say it's enough. You're like, I'm good now. Like I can say this now. And the problem is that I don't know about you, but at least for me, I lose friends because of the journey that I've taken, and I lose some family members because they don't support sometimes of what you said publicly, and they feel guilty, so they gaslight you that it's your fault, but at the same time it's like you're in this journey, but it doesn't have to be alone. And the fact that you're so brave, I call that brave, because during your adversity you actually found a way to thrive, right? And
Yes.
said, you know what, I'm going to own my shites and I'm going to do this. And then after you did that, I'm like, you know what, I'm done surviving, I'm going to thrive, I'm going to help other men to be a human being, not men, women, separation. You can't be emotional. You can't feel this way, but really show up for human being. Scott Raven.
Absolutely, CJ. I am a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. So obviously, the recent news of Jason Kelsey retiring, hey, I love him, right? But his press conference, where he literally broke down again and again and again and showed how much he cared and how much he was willing to let his pure emotions show. Very manly, very masculine, and very needed in this world. And that's part of what I bring with my practice in terms of saying, instead of hiding from your emotions, which is what most men do, embrace them. Let yourself thrive because of them.
And thank you for that. And I appreciate you, because we need more men like you who show up in the world and said, take me for who I am. and the door is open if you don't, right?
Mm.
I'm not here to please anybody. Because, I was talking to my 16-year-old. She's so smart. I'm telling you, she's so smart. She's like, Mom, it doesn't really matter. We're all dying. And I'm like, you're right. She goes, sometimes you put so much pressure on yourself to do this, because I'm a perfectionist. I'm trying to recover from that. I'm trying, it's the key word. And when things doesn't go wrong, and I really have to practice what I preach, because I tell my students, stop controlling everything. You can't control everything. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, you need to do this and this. And she's like, I just heard you told your students to not control everything. You should get that advice. I'm like, wow, she's listening. Close your door. When I'm talking, her door is next to my office. And you're right, showing up for other people, because in this journey, it's not about us really anymore, right? We're all dying. We're all going to exit. It's a matter of when and how. But what is your impact and your legacy towards that journey matters so much to all of us who's in this project that we're doing. So we're going to switch to Jessica. What about you? Introduce yourself, what you do, what your project is, what project are you working on?
Sure. So, my name's Jessica, or Jess, whatever anybody wants to call me. Wanted to start out by saying that my name almost, given it's at the end of January, was boy or girl Randall after Randall Cunningham on the Eagles. And I remember being at that Super Bowl win parade, and Kelsey just dressed as a mummer from the Mummers Parade. And I have a t-shirt that says, "No one likes us and we don't care." And I think that's like a way of living also, basically. I mean, if, people don't like who you are authentically, then, they just aren't the people for you in your life. But I professionally work within finance at Barclays in their sustainable finance department, specifically climate portfolio management strategy. But outside of that, I love volunteering. And I took a trip to Tanzania in November for the month to volunteer with autistic students in primary and preschool, which was incredibly rewarding. And I just, I have this passion that I've had since being a child about helping those more vulnerable than myself. And I feel that in return, people help me. I grew up with epilepsy, and I honestly didn't mind it just because it always was there for me. But my mom thought that it was, a good idea to have complete control over my seizures before getting into college. And so it seemed like the only option at the time, based on not responding 100% to medications, was brain surgery. And actually, recently on 60 Minutes, I've seen a neurosurgeon himself say how intrusive the whole process can be. And I'm like, well, there we go. Somebody who actually does this for a living, confirming my experience from the 2000s. But it led to a personality change, which eventually I was able to persevere through the severe depression. And I like to help people in return. I think it's given me a lot of empathy for other people struggling out there with cognitive, neurological, psychological, etc. Issues going through their lives, and any way I can help, I'm always happy to.
I love it. And I can't even, okay, first of all, I had scoliosis in high school. I got into full scholarship for Yale in high school. And my dad is not educated, okay? He's like, that's way too far. We're in San Diego. You go 10-mile radius. That's it. An Asian family, when you talk about control, we're like the poster child for control. And they're like, no, I don't know where Yale is. I don't know what school that is. It's too cold. I look at the weather in there. That's what my dad said. You can't go. So I said, so you'd rather me go to a college here, pay for it, than a college in Pennsylvania that I can get full scholarship. And Asians, we're talking about money here. My dad's like, yeah, I'd pay for it rather than you go somewhere in the snowy area. And mind you, I didn't grow up with my family, right? I didn't grow up with my parents. I literally met my dad when I was like 13 or 14 years old when I came to America. I didn't know how to speak English. And my mom was born and raised in LA. And so I never met my mom until I was 7 for 12 hours. That was it. And then I didn't see her until I was 18. So literally, I didn't have my mom or my dad. And so I wanted to be close to my dad because I think we were together at that time, like 4 or 5 years that I've known my dad. So I said, oh, maybe that's love. And, that's how my parents care, is like to keep me here. And I never had mom and dad. So I was like, okay, fine. I don't want to go to Yale anyway. That's fine. Right. But what about full scholarship? Yeah, it's fine. So I stayed here. And then later on, I realized, I wish I did. But then when you wish something and you really reflect on your life, it was meant to not happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't have met my husband and have 2 beautiful, talented, amazing kids, right? It would never have happened. So life sometimes takes a turn to where it's unexpected, but yours takes it to the next level. Like someone's playing around with my brain. No, stop it, right? And when you're a child, you have no say. Literally, your parents have your best interest.
To be honest, I think I had a say, because I don't know. I think after my dad died when I was 11, I was becoming the mature one in the family, and my mom was starting to drink. I mean, not over drink, but still. I in the morning when she went to work, I took care of my younger siblings and everything. And by the age of 16, I knew what I was deciding. I knew that I was going based on the recommendations from the medical profession about the depression. I mean, first she didn't believe it, but then later on, it was more of her own thinking that it was her decision and that denial and everything. And I couldn't get through to her anything. So I was thinking, oh, we'll talk about this again in 10 years or something. But honestly, I don't blame anybody else on it. I fully, except for the neurology department that doesn't, that believed that psychology was a pseudoscience. And this is the temporal lobe, and they didn't recognize the amygdala controlling emotions. Everything else they did tests on ahead of time. But yeah, just because they're 2 separate specializations, neurology just didn't care about the psychological impact. And then the psychiatrists, in response, were kind of afraid to take me on based on my health history. So just took a while to get through everything.
And the smile on your face is still there. That's amazing. I call that a warrior, like for real, right? That's what I'm saying. When people like to judge other people, I don't think you could handle other people's lives. Like, quite honestly, you're put on that life for you to go on a journey. But yet we like to tell people, I can advise you on this. Are you serious right now? Like trying to tell Jacqueline, well, when you live, she died and she came back. Like, did you die and come back? For real. I think your story is going to inspire so many people because despite what you're going through, you're still here. You still have a smile in your face and you're willing to help others in their journey, whatever that may be, health wise, and to be an advocate for somebody that might be going through that half and half. Like, okay, I could make this decision, or maybe I should make this decision. But somebody who's walking through that journey and said, I can't make the decision for you, but here are some things that you should consider, right? So that they can have a choice. I think sometimes people feel like we don't have a choice because we're given by professionals our options. And really the options is not an option. It's more like you got to do it or you're going to die, right? And so
Yep.
it's that feeling of like, do I really need this car? Okay, the guy's here and I've been here 5 hours. I guess we're just gonna go through that feeling like, oh God, I don't want to do it, but you have to. It's not an option at that point. That's not a choice. That's emotional hostage, like for real. Like, okay, you're keeping my emotions here, I'm hostaging. And if I don't do this and I die, then whose fault is that? Mine, because I didn't make that decision. Then I make everybody else suffer, and then you go through this rabbit hole of cyclical information in your head, and you wish that you had enough options and you didn't. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Sure, of course. And I mean, additionally, I found out at my office hospital, which is like a part of Mount Sinai in New York. And I found out there that my blood pressure was going up and down. Had to go to a regular Mount Sinai hospital and ended up having sepsis. But for the first week, they put me in the psych ward because of the neuroinflammation. And I'm just like, the health system is so crazy. Um, but happy to, speak to anybody who also has been through it. So,
That's okay. That's another show. Like I cannot even. I can't wait for people to really read your project and see where that goes and inspire people. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Steven, sir, your turn. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what do you do, and what project you are working on today.
So, it's interesting because 6 years ago, I was out working in the yard. I was in a relationship I wasn't happy in, and I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't know why I was not happy. And it dawned on me that, this is my life. And I decided to go on this quest of, you know what, I'm going to live the next half of my life in a happy place. And it's amazing the transition that we can take. We don't realize the influence that our thoughts and our attitudes, where our focus is, has on how we feel, on the people around us. And I made a decision at that moment that I was going to change my life. I was going to find out what happiness was. I was going to start living a better way. And it was, the next 2 years were amazing, not amazingly great. But as I started finding my independence, as I started establishing boundaries, as I started doing things to have this better life, some people faded away. Some people found resistance with that. They didn't like this new me. They didn't like that I was no longer the people pleaser doing things for them. And when I started making the change, the people that needed to fall away, fell away. And I found this new tribe of people. You're amongst that. You're people that are sharing the same thing that I believe in, which is we can all have a better life. We can all live better. We can grow. We can learn. We don't have to be perfect, but we just do the best that we can today. And so I'm a life coach. I went from engineering, figuring out the problems of technology and changing that to figuring out the problems with people's lives and trying to help them. So I do life coaching. I'm an author. I also have a community called Global Summit Events where we just share the simple things that people know, and we learn from one another. And that peer-based community is really powerful. What I've realized with that is that we can make a difference in our lives. Some of us have this feeling like we want to change the world. And what's beautiful about that is we can. And the way we do it is we change one perspective at a time. Dr. New's here, and she's like the chief cheerleader. I have no idea how this woman and the rest of you have as much energy as you do. Susanna's here. All of you have been instrumental in helping with my latest project, and it's that inspiration. Dr. C, you've been wonderful in that as well. But we learn from each other. It's not comfortable sharing something that's personal. But the thing is this is what life is. I realize that I'm highly sensitive. And that is magic. It's when you can use that sensitivity to realize we can make an influence on our own life, right? It's becoming self-aware. It's the magic that allows you to become self-aware and to change your own life. And so I'm very passionate about helping other people have a better life. And I think the first thing that we can do is being okay with where we're at. And I wanted to share something, as we mentioned, some of the things going on with brain health and depression and things like that. And my 3 areas of focus are mind, body, spirit. How can we have a better life in mind, body, and spirit? And within the body part, I'm involved with a couple groups. One of them is called the Healthy Neighborhood Project. And we had someone come along and speak. Omega-3s have a huge impact on your brain health and also on your mood. And so if you have a traumatic brain injury, you want to up your dosages of that. So it has a high correlation to suicide rates, right? If you're depleted in that, it makes a big difference. So sharing a knowledge about something as simple as that can make a big difference, right? So if you're not feeling well, check your nutrition, but also check what you're taking into your mind. The things that you're focusing on, the things that you're thinking about. So that's what I love to do, and I'm really excited about the project. I'm hoping we get a chance to share a little bit about it. But thank you.
Yeah, this is your chance. Share about, your journey, about the whole process even. Like, okay, I take pride in collaboration. Like, if I have another heart, like you only have one heart, but if I have another heart, it'd be like collaboration heart. The reason being is that I'm an extrovert, if you guys can't tell already. I get my energy from people, and collaboration gives me that fuel, right? And it doesn't help that I have adult ADHD either. So if I get into conversations, you're like, you talk about bunny and now we're talking chicken. Where are we going with this conversation? Sorry, my brain went there. But that's how I can do projects. Like literally, I have 6 projects going on right now, and all of them are launching. Like 2 of them are in this month, 3 of them are this month. And I just finished one project. Thank gosh. That was content creation for a university, and that was really amazing. I didn't know I could do that. And it was talking about business intelligence and really about statistics and, bell curve, all that. When you guys learned, that's what I was talking about. And I was like, wow, I was talking about statistics. It's been a hot minute for doing that. But really at the heart of that is the collaboration, right? And all of you guys said yes to collaboration. What I'm curious about is you're only sharing a sliver of your story, not even the entire story. But my question, going back to Scott and going this way, is why do you think stories are important when it comes to business? How do you correlate from this is my personal, this is why I started business? So how do you get those story to correlate? Why is story important for your business?
For me and Focus Group of One, story is critical for my business because story creates connection. Story allows me to paint a picture in somebody's mind, whether it be from my story and what I learned along the way and how that applies to the framework that I take people through, where I align their power, develop their plan, and help them raise their game. But even more critical, putting themselves in their own story, particularly their future story, the story that they want, that they desire, but that they let their doubts and their drains get in the way. And that by showing them that that image is out there, so long as they're brave enough to have the commitment and courage to persevere through, that will in turn give them the confidence to go out and try to achieve it. And that ultimately is the thing that will make their great story. So when I share my story, the end aim is to create other great stories. That's the legacy.
I love it, right? I love it because we are in business because of our story, because of our pains, because of our past. We are trying to help others who are willing to listen to our story and get a cheat sheet, right? Like a cheat sheet, like I'm going to do shortcuts because CJ already went through this. Maybe she could help me do this. And that's literally what we're trying to do with everyone. And there's 8 billion people. It's not competition. It's collaboration. And your connection and my connection and Steven's connection and Jessica's connection and 27 other people's connection, we can make an impact in the world, right? And I love the heart-centeredness. So Jessica, your turn. How do you think your stories is important to business?
I know you said like to your business. I am not an entrepreneur myself. I know though how important storytelling is when it
Not
comes
yet.
to
Not
um,
yet. We'll see. Not yet,
sorry.
Jessica. You will. Not yet, but you will. You'll be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, thinking about which way to go forward at this point. I mean, I already know from, just work in general, putting together uh, published reports in a way that really gets the attention of, well, first what senior management has to see, and then what shareholders and stakeholders need to see. But in terms of my story itself, I am hoping that, I mean, it's of course not for business, but I just was, at this point where I think that even if somebody hasn't been through my exact experience, it's still uh, relevant in certain ways and just an example of something that, all of the struggles that we go through, and definitely led to a growth in my empathy for everyone. So I have a lot of conversations on the sidewalk with homeless people to help them get into overnight housing. Um, but yeah, storytelling. I mean, what I'm thinking after this experience is that I had too much to say for our chapter word limit, and I'm thinking of extending my writing into a longer book at the moment. So,
Yes. Okay. You have to excuse me. When I see people, it's part of my ADHD, I think, I realize, is when I see potential in somebody that they can't see, I have to say it because then I can't sleep at night not telling you. This is what I'm going to plant a seed in your head for a little bit. And I can't believe I'm doing this live. I usually do this with a client. From all the stories that you have said right now, just within that 5-10 minutes, and just right now, literally your business could be an advocate. You are an advocate for people, especially for the vulnerable in the mental health space and the healthcare industry. This lady right here, and she's not here. I'm getting a goosebumps. She's not here because maybe there's some reason, but I know she's here for a reason. And I'm a Christian, so God up there, I don't care what your religion is, but I'm going to say my God up there puts her in here. And because she also has a TV network in healthcare space. Healthcare is what she breathes and eats. And she has so many, like all of us, we know people who know people, right? Tracy is in my network, and Scott and Steven, if you're not in the Hounds, I know Scott is. And Steven, I think you're also in the Hounds. She's in the Hounds of business, and I'll hook you guys up after this. She
Perfect.
actually opened doors for you as well. Tracy, if you're listening, I'm telling you to open doors for Jessica. I'm just saying. Because I think you'd be so good at being an advocate. Sometimes when we go for a job, right? And we don't like the job, but it pays for the bills, the lights, the food, the the
Exactly.
journey. We do it and you're like, ugh,
The
gosh, I hate this.
independence.
Right. But the job of being an advocate, I see your face lighting up right
Yeah.
here, right now. See? And that's why when you said, I don't have a business, yeah, you do. You don't know it, but I'm going to give you a business. You will be an advocate. Kristen Nora, I pushed her for her LLC because she is an advocate for kids. Her heart, her passion is about for kids. You are passionate for people. There's no like limit to the age. It's more of a
Yeah.
niche on the healthcare because you've gone through so much. You could write a book on what not to say and what not to do and where to go. I could see it already. I think your business will be an advocate for somebody that's going through a lot of business going through their head and personal issues with the doctors and this like that. Like Dr. Michelle Bose is not here. She's in Colorado. She's team level up. And she went through so much with her husband in healthcare. You won't even believe how much time she had to quit her job just to help with that.
Mm.
You probably could help that person, right? I know you can help a lot of people, and you will help a lot of people. I'm manifesting it for you, and I'm giving you seeds right now. Whew, I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
thank
Tracy,
you so much, CJ.
yeah, I can see it. You will have that business either this year or next year, whenever you will, because you will be like your whole heart. I can feel that energy in you, and you will be a good advocate for sure. Look at that smile. Look at the oh man, Stephen. How about you, sir? How do you believe stories are important for your business?
Well, it's critical because stories are the way we communicate, and we tell ourselves a story all the time, right? Our success, our quality of life, all of that's linked to the story. On my project that I'm working on right now, that particular story is important because it's about the importance of setting boundaries, about emotional intelligence. It's about self-awareness, and that's critical when you're in a professional setting or even at home, right? You want to be the model for your children, and if you can teach them, positive self-image, if you can teach them emotional intelligence, resilience, to be a better person, that's critical. And so, these are not only vital at home, at work, but to become an effective leader, because we all want to lead other people. We want to guide people to a better life. Before you have these skills, you may be afraid to speak up. You may be afraid to be in the room with a CEO, right? You might be afraid of judgment. But once you get into this space where you can be your authentic self is worth value. It's immensely valuable. And what you'll find is that you'll start inspiring other people. And for the sensitive people out there, for the introverts, it's not that you don't like big crowds, it's that you don't have your small crowd of authentic people, right? Because if you find the authentic person, that's the jam, right? That's how you feel good, you feel seen. You're not under threat because you don't have all this chaos of emotions and everything else going around. So my story is important because it talks about learning to set those skills, to actually change this, to say, okay, I'm not good in a crowd setting, to change to say, this is a skill that I have not practiced and I can become better at it. It's about learning how to boundary set. It's about learning how to be a better human, not for anybody else's reason, but for your own. So, when we're talking about this, I think that we can actually become better leaders in life. And for me, that's why we tell stories. We tell stories because it conveys to other people some information of value. And that's what my hope is to help people have a better life.
Well, I love it. And my mom, actually, I had this class, and it was communication class. And I was kind of sad that everyone said introverts couldn't be a leader. And it's always the extroverts who can be lead. And I knew when I would speak up, I knew that I'm going to get a backlash, but I didn't care because I'm an extrovert. I really don't care what you say to me at this point. I've been called names, all these things. It's like, okay, that's your reflection of you. Bye. Like, that's how I feel. And I tell them this example from my own experience. My mother is an introvert. She takes a nap before her meeting. If she could during the meeting, she would. And after the meeting, she has 5 assistants. She worked for Chevron for 36 years as an executive. So when you guys see the world like oil spill, raw materials, oil spill, the only person you can call in the world is my mother to clean up that entire ocean. She has people who works with other people, and only her phone call. She has a sat phone everywhere she goes because some of the people are like in Africa and they don't have landline, so it's a sat phone. She's an introvert. So I used that example and I said, you have no business telling people that they cannot be a leader if they're an introvert. I'll give you an example. My mother. And they're like, well, who's your mother? I'm like, executive at Chevron for 36 years. And she's 4. Oh, Mom, I hope you're not watching. She's 4'10". She says, oh, I'm 4'11 and a half. Right. I might be 6 foot tall because I guess, like I'm 5 feet and she's like itty bitty like here. I'm like, Mom, no, you're not 4'11 and a half. You're 4'10", like for real. And she's tiny, but when she says this is what's going to happen, it is. It is not about your height. It is not about your age. it is not about your whatevers that you think that an introvert can't be a leader. It's your heart and how you lead. And just like what Steven said, when you are in your space and you are being authentic, people see it. When you try to sell people all the time because you think that's the best way to go, people see that too. When you really have their best interest, people see that too. They don't say it. They're looking and watching always. That's why you have to be authentic, because if you lie, you can only lie so much. And I've seen someone where they lie and they forget their lies and they go in the loop. I'm like, wait, I thought you said, and they looked at me, you're like, yeah, that's what I meant. I'm like, I just caught you in your loop. But if you don't lie and you're being authentic to yourself, you're consistent, because that's the truth, right? It's the truth. And I love what you said about that, Stephen, that sometimes you just need to find your group. Sometimes you need to find your tribe that you can feel heard, valued, and seen. Because that's all really what we want. We want, as human beings, we want to belong. It's not like, oh, I have low self-esteem, I need to belong to something. It has nothing to do with that. It's our human nature to want to belong and be accepted. But it's a matter of, is that a group that you have to push yourself in to be accepted, or is it just accept me for who I am? And that's where you need to be, because that's the only way you can thrive, is you don't have to push yourself. You're seen anyway for who you are. And I love that you're doing that, Stephen, because there are so many people who can really take your help on especially when you talk about introverts. There's a lot of introverts out there that feels lonely, that feels they're not valued and heard and seen because they don't know. They don't know their superpower yet. And that's who you are.
Well, I wanted to add one little thing, and you wouldn't believe it, but I used to be afraid of public speaking. If I would get into a crowd, I would freeze, right? As soon as I thought that there was judgment that existed, I could not speak up, and I wouldn't speak up in groups, in small groups, like meetings. And I can speak fluently now. And the reason that I can is because I found something more important to speak about than myself, right? It's not about my significance. It's not even about me. It's about this idea that is important enough to talk about, even when I'm imperfect. And I got better at it because I just practice it. And that's something that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you have a lot of amazing tools today. I mean, poof, like, I need to process that a little bit. Like, you're already saying about vitamin D3, and, I can't even tell. Can you guys tell that he would be afraid of speaking?
No, ma'am.
You're a pro now, Steven. I love it. And that is somebody that you need to aspire to be. If you are someone who's watching this, I know most of my people who are watching, you guys are already extroverts. So I know. But some of us, when people says, do you get nervous? Of course you get nervous. Every time you go on a show or anything, you get nervous. But use that feeling to fuel you to even put your message out there, right? And I can't believe we're already ending. I really like this conversation. But I'm going to start, and then I'm going to go back to Stephen and then end with Scott. I'm going to start with a quote because I love quotes. This one is from John Dahlberg, right? He's an English historian, politician, and writer. He said, "Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely." And you're like, what does that mean? When we have our ego up here so high that you think it's all about you, and you think you have the power, and you have a lot of followers, and you have a lot of influence, but you're using it for you and you alone, you're going to die lonely. All that friends that you have, the followers, and anybody else that you think is significant in your life, they're going to go away because someday they'll see through you. Like what Stephen said, it's not about you. It's not about us. It's about the people who are going to help in the future. So I'm going to leave you with that. Stephen, you're next.
So, the quote that I would have is, and I don't know that, it might even be my own quote, but it's this idea that the people that judge you don't matter, and the people that matter won't judge you. And this isn't about being important enough or valuable enough to impress somebody else. It's about being secure that you're alive, that every breath that you wake up with is important. And I always give people this question: if I gave you $1 million, would you take it? Most people say, "What's the catch?" But no catch, and they would say yes. 10 million, yes. $1 billion, they would say yes. But what if I said, if I give you $1 billion tonight, and you have to spend it by midnight and not give it to anybody else, but you won't wake up in the morning, would you take it? I have yet to meet someone that would say yes to that. And that tells us that every morning, every breath is priceless. And we just need to embrace that. So that's what I would say.
I love it. I love it because I was talking yesterday about how the most expensive resource we have is time, right? You guys spending time with me and with each other today, I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed because you could have been doing something as your opportunity cost could be somebody else and somewhere else, but you spent it here to inspire others. So I'm grateful for your currency of time today. I just want you guys to know that before I forget to say that. Jessica, your turn.
Okay, so saying our own quotes, is that it?
Okay.
I like one by Mark Twain that's there are two important days in a person's life: the day they're born and the day they find out why. Because we're all meant to be here for some reason, and it may take a lot of struggles first to, for you to go through in order to figure out actually who you're meant to be. And you may never have gotten to that point if you didn't go through the turmoil and everything throughout life. So through resilience, I think, and through our own experiences, there is a time when we realize, oh, this is why I am here, and this is what I need to do to help the world at large.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You're so emotional. I can see your emotions. I love it so much. Because I see light through you. I see that up there it's thinking, I could definitely be an advocate. I can see that already. See, look at that smile. I'm loving this conversation so much. How about you, sir? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to end with the Teddy Roosevelt quote, "Man in the arena," because what I hope from all of the conversations and all of the wonderful passages across all of us that folks take away is take action. Because it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
I love it. I love that ending. Basically, take action, guys. Jessica, take action. I love the energy that you guys put in. I know you guys are the leaders of our project right now. Everyone and all eyes are watching you. I appreciate your time so much today. We are going to be literally having this movement moving forward for the rest of the year. And I think what comes up for me is not only collaboration, but collaborate to inspire. That's what I'm going to end that. Collaborate to inspire the world, right? Thank you guys so much for your time. I will see you in the green room in a minute. Bye, guys.
Thank you, CJ.
You're welcome. Wow, that was so amazing. I have an amazing tribe. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you for Dr. New for being here. Thank you for my dear sister Susanna for being here. I'm a big fan of Teddy Roosevelt. See, there you go. Russ, Dr. New, Susanna. Hounds of Business is here, right? Yes, it is definitely. And of course, Dr. New, read all of our stories through collaboration. That's right. And of course, she loves us all, and we love you back, Dr. New, for all the things that you have done. And I'm glad that you took a time off for your family because we all need that. I enjoyed my time on Saturday, really, with my daughter. We had a mommy and daughter date. So thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys on Sunday with Dr. New. So much. Bye, guys.